Welcome everyone. Today we're learning how to run a church board meeting, which is a lot like preaching your first sermon. You're excited, you're prepared, and you're praying no one asks a question you didn't study for. The good news is this: every pastor has survived their first board meeting. Some have even went on to enjoy them. And by the end of today, you will know the basics of how to lead with confidence, how to keep things on track, and most importantly, how to recognize when the treasurer is about to say something that changes the whole room. This training explains how to conduct a church board meeting with prayer, order, accountability, and sound decision making. Each meeting should follow a clear agenda and ensure that all actions are discussed, voted on, and recorded accurately. Board meetings should focus on governance, policy, and major decisions rather than routine operational details. Use the board's time for the matters that most need oversight and leadership. Meeting frequency should reflect both legal requirements and the church's needs. Effective oversight usually requires more than one annual meeting. A monthly schedule is often a strong point. In most churches, meeting less often than quarterly is not enough for consistent oversight. Special meetings may be needed when urgent matters require board action. Healthy board meetings are prayerful, orderly, and clearly documented. Effective meetings are structured, focused, action-oriented. Strong board meetings require teamwork, humility, and a shared commitment to the decisions made. The chair leads the meeting and keeps the agenda moving. Reviewing prior actions at the start of the meeting builds accountability and momentum, which is why clear minutes matter. Work through each agenda item with 4 questions. Is there anything we need as a board to review? Specifically, what and why? Is there anything we as a board need to approve? Specifically, what, when, and how? Is there anything we need to question? Specifically, what, why, and to whom do we speak? Is there anything we as a board need to do? Specifically, what needs to be done, how, and by whom? Time limits help the board stay focused, discuss wisely, and reach clear decisions. If more time is needed, the board should either adjust the agenda or defer the item to a future meeting. Unfinished items can usually be moved to the next meeting agenda. The chair should keep the discussion on track and ensure that every member has room to contribute. Key decisions that need to be made for each item should include what decision has been made, who is responsible for implementing the decision, when does this need to be done, and when will they report back to the board? Who and how will we monitor something that we need to do? How long will we monitor something? How will reporting happen? Board dynamics matter because conflict can either be handled wisely or allowed to disrupt the church work. Disagreement is going to be normal. The key is handling it well before it begins to dominate meetings or spill into other decisions. When conflict cannot be set aside, it should be addressed outside the meeting, and mediation may be needed if resolution is difficult. The point is that frustration or anger in a board meeting will cause problems that affect the whole board and therefore the church. If a board member carries this kind of attitude and can't seem to work things through, they need to step back from the board until authentic unity and reconciliation has been regained by all parties. Unity brings a unique kind of blessing. The chairman's responsibilities. The chairman sets the agenda, prepares the board in advance, guides discussion, and represents the church with integrity. The agenda sets the flow of the meeting while supporting materials provide needed detail. A typical agenda may contain 1, a call to order. This is when the formal meeting starts. 2, the previous board minutes. This is where you're going to refresh, review any relevant items for the current meeting. Sometimes this time is used to approve and sign off on the previous minutes. Reports board members sharing around specific areas. continuing business, old business. This is ongoing conversations from previous meetings. This is where you send something to table for somebody to go and do some research on it and bring it back to the next meeting for them to finish discussing it, to vote on it, and to make it. And also, if it needs more research, it's what you do. You send them, continue it. It can be a continuing thing. New business. These are new items that to be discussed. These are the things that weren't discussed in the previous board meeting. There's new items that have come up that they need to be discussed, need to be handled. And then you have the open floor, which is where things that are not on the agenda. It's a very limited time for you to discuss this, to raise it, and either make a proposal that it be for the next meeting agenda, or you can make the decision right then and there about it. And of course, then you have your adjournment. This is the close of the formal meeting. And this is just something that you need to know. Now, board members can and should be able to propose agenda items before the meeting, even if the chair has finalized the agenda. But once that agenda has been finalized, that the chair should distribute the agenda at least 1 week before the meeting so participants have adequate time to prepare for it. Let's talk about attendance just a little bit here. Attendance confirms who's present and establishes an accurate record of the minutes. This is basically where you're going to set the quorum for the meeting so that you can do business officially with the prerequisite number of board members there. Confirms who's present for the official record. It establishes, again, that record for the minutes. Then, like I said, it verifies the quorum for binding decisions, and also it really gives you a demonstration of commitment to governance for this board meeting. Now, when we start our board meetings, pastors or chairmen, they should be started with a devotion and prayer. This is to remind the board that its work is both spiritual and administrative and needs to be guided by God's wisdom. As you can see in James 1:5, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God who gives generously. So just know that this is a very important piece of your agenda. This should be really number one on the agenda after you've done the business of the attendance. Devotion should be the second thing on the agenda item. Never ignore this. This is something that's vitally important so that you are covering it spiritually with the meeting, that God's presence will be there as this meeting is going. Now the secretary. They're going to read the previous minutes. You're going to approve them, and this record is the official meeting history, and this is helping the board keep an accurate record. These minutes should clearly record proposals, decisions, and follow-up actions. Minutes need to be sure that it notes the attendance and should be shared promptly for review and correction. The chair should not take the minutes. That role should be assigned to the board secretary or another trusted person. Now, if you notice here, I say board secretary. This doesn't mean you go and bring in the church secretary to do these minutes. No, your board secretary is an elected person of the board, and they should be the ones responsible for taking care of the minutes, making sure that they're accurate, and prepare them to be signed and stored securely. Now, storing them securely can be one of the two things. They can be stored on-site in a fireproof safe or stored off-site in a secure area. And that's important because the secretary is the one that's responsible for these documents, not the chairman, not any other board member. The secretary is responsible for these minutes, and they sign them, and they once they are approved, it's signed, and then it's placed in the records for that meeting. And so just understand that the secretary is responsible for those minutes. The treasurer. Well, the treasurer presents the financial report. The board is going to review this report carefully. It's going to, the final action, what they made decisions on, what they discussed, is going to be recorded in the minutes. And then this report is part of the meeting record. Now, sometimes when you look at financial reports, previous experience, these can be daunting. But if the treasurer really pays attention to what they're doing and gives you a good report that you can understand, and that the treasurer can answer the questions and about the report, it makes it so much easier for the rest of the board to understand it and be able to add this to the meeting record. Old business. This is unfinished matters. They still require follow-up discussion or even formal action. So old business is the first thing you're going to have after the report, the minutes, the treasurer's report. You've got old business. This is the stuff that you said, we didn't touch it last month. We need to cover it this month. We need to see if we need to do any more action on it, or if we need to go ahead and vote and accept or reject the documents or the material of the reports. So old business may at times take a little bit more time, but it is essential that you get that old business taken care of. If it needs more follow-up, you refer it back to committee. If it needs some discussion within the board, there's time for discussion for it. Once all of that's done, then you need to do the formal action of taking a vote. New business. This is new proposals. Ministry opportunities, operational needs for discussion and action. New proposals. Well, maybe there's some things that need to be done around the church. Maybe there needs to be some windows repaired. Maybe the air conditioner has started to give you fits, or the heating has started to give you fits. It's time to discuss these here because those are operational needs. Maybe you need a new sound system. That's another part of these operational needs. They've come under that operational needs, maybe even new proposals. Ministry opportunities. This is where you're going to be looking at openings in your church. You need a new music pastor, a new youth pastor, a new children's pastor. Those are the things that come up in this new business. Hey, we've got to fill these these vacancies. Those are the things that will be coming into this time frame. Sometimes the new proposals are, hey, we want to do some, or I should say the ministry opportunities, but also new proposals is we want to do some outreach. We want to get involved with outreach such as Convoy of Hope or the local food bank doing food distributions on a monthly basis. Those are ministry opportunities that get your church out into the community, gets them to be seen, and it gives you an opportunity to minister to people that may not even come into your church, but you have that opportunity to do it. Maybe you're going to do a big 4th of July celebration, and you got to get those things together for that next 4th of July presentation or celebration, whatever you're going to do. Easter, what are you going to do for Easter? Is the music department going to put on this great musical performance and have all of these needs that are going to come up? Those are the kind of things you begin to look at in this new business time. So those are some important aspects of new business. Every motion, every vote, every action item should be recorded clearly to protect the church and support accountability. Something that you need to understand, that this is actually to protect the church in case somebody asks any questions. You're going to have in that record, you're going to have what decision's been made. You're going to record the motions, the outcome of the vote in these minutes. Who's responsible? You've signed ownership to some kind of action item. Who's responsible for it? What's going on? Give me a report. How's it going? What's happening in it? Give us an update. Again, who's responsible? Then again, when is it due? You need to set deadlines and due dates for reports to be brought back to the board. You can't say, well, it'll happen. No. You need to have specific due dates when reports are due. And then how are you monitoring this? Do you have one of the board members that are monitoring certain actions to see if these things are making progress, and how long it's been going on, and when are they going to report on their area of assignment from the board? So these are things that are happening. You've got to make sure that all of this is in the record. Because at any time, somebody's going to want to come and see the minutes of that board meeting. You've got to have them right there. You've got to have them where people can read them, see what was happening, some of the decisions that were being made, and that they're not being hidden from anybody. Your church should be open information unless it is a private matter that needs to be handled. Then that should be on a separate sheet that is not available in the meetings, except an allusion to another document, but it is private. So don't ever let anything like that get out in the open if you're dealing with it on an accountability and also on a disciplinary action. Those don't go stuck in the minutes everywhere. Here we go. Church board dynamics. Lead every board meeting with prayer. That's the big thing you've got to do. Pastor, chairman, prepare thoroughly, decide clearly, and document faithfully. If your board will commit to these practices consistently, your church will be stronger, more unified, and better equipped to carry out its mission. This is very important as you look at it. Handling these faithfully, handling them precisely and consistently gives strength. Unity is important. If you've got disagreements, how are you going to handle the disagreements? Are you going to ignore them? Don't ever ignore them. Are you going to discuss them? Is there something that needs to do? If you can handle that conflict before it dominates the meeting, that's great. If it has not been resolved, you need to address it, and address these outside of the meeting, because you need to get those handled. And again, as we talked about a while ago, seek mediation if you can't resolve this. Big thing is unity. Unity is vital for a board. When you're all in agreement and you're working together, there is, and I'll tell you this now, there is an anointing that settles on that board when you have unity and you're all working toward the same goal, which is the success of the church, the blessing of the church, and the ministry of the church. So those are the things that we really want to consider and to look at carefully. So again, just to follow up, we want this to have a biblical integrity, clear structure, and servant leadership. Lead every board meeting with prayer. Prepare thoroughly for each session. Decide clearly and with unity. Document faithfully for accountability. If you commit these practices, and your church will be stronger, more unified, and better equipped to carry out the mission of the church. One thing that I wanted to let you know, my father-in-law was a minister, pastored churches for many, many years. And one of his churches, he always had a board that meetings seemed to go longer. So he set a deadline and he made a goal. He says, guys, if we finish by such and such a time, I will take you to ice cream. Of course, it was McDonald's, but he took them. They made sure they were done at a certain time with their board meeting so the pastor and them could go for ice cream. Something that gives them a challenge and gives them a goal to get things done and work toward the unity and the mission of the church is vitally important. Folks, God bless you. I'm praying for you in your ministry And as you take this to heart and to create a board that it has biblical integrity, a clear structure, and a servant heart. God bless you.